Hi friends, Naji here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We are continuing a discussion on LangGraph, and in this video we will be discussing on LangGraph context. So what is a context? So context which actually provide more information to the LLM model. So agents need context to perform better. The context includes any data outside of the requested message, like it can be a user ID or it can be a API credential, or we can consider it as internal state updated during the multi-step reasoning process, or this can be a memory or the previous chat history also. So that is what like we generally call the context. And LangGraph is actually provide the context in different ways. So one is this will provide the context, we can provide the context using the config. So this is kind of a immutable context, we may not able to change the state during the execution. Then another is the state, that is a mutable context, which will help us to save the intermediate result into a session. We can say it's a session. Okay. So these are the two things that currently in this video that we are going to discuss. So in our coming videos we can discuss about long-term memory and the short-term memory. So we can see how can we implement these two features. Okay. For that I have my notebook is open. We can import the few packages. Okay. So what I can do from langgraph.core.messages, we can import any message. Okay, somehow the environment is not taking, so let me check that. Okay, so the import part is done. Now what I am going to do, I am going to define a tool, that is get weather. Here I can mention the city. So this is the similar thing that we have done multiple times. Here I am going to retrieve a string. Here I can mention get weather for a given city. Okay. We can run. I can always return. It is, I say, it's always sunny in. We can return the city name. Okay. Now let's create an agent. I can create an agent and just pass on the model name. So here I am going to pass the GPT maybe 4.0. I am going to pass. Okay. Now in the tools I can mention about the get weather tools. Here I can say create React agent is not defined. So we can see this is imported or not. Let me go and check this. Here create React agent is available here. Let me execute it again. Okay, now we are good. Now let me invoke this. Let's do a invoke. Here I can pass a messages. Let's pass a role. The role can be user, and we can paste the content. The content I am going to pass is hi. Now let me execute this. Okay, so when we execute this, we can see that hello, how can I assist you today? Now the thing is, I need to pass the username as a prompt. So whenever a user is log into the application, we need to make sure the chat is personalized. Okay, so I want to pass the user information to this chat prompt also. So for that, what I can do, we can make use of the config keyword. So here we can pass the config. Now I can pass the configurable. Okay, now I will be passing username. So here I can give anything. So here I am going to make a username as a John Smith. Okay, so now I am passing this this user informations along with the messages. Okay, now we can, what we can do, we can create a prompt message here. Just define a prompt. What this does is, this will take the state we can say agent state. It will also take the config. This is runnable config. This will return a list of any message. I can say list of any message. Good. Now what I can do, I can take the username. Username can be taken using, I can mention the config. So this is the config that I am going to take, and here I can take the configurable. From the configurable, get username. Okay. So this will get our username. Okay. So once the username is here, let me create a system prompt. I can say that you are a helpful assistant. Username is here. I can mention the username. Now just append this with our query. So let me pass this role. So the role will be system. Let me make it small letter, system. Then the content will be can pass the content as a system prompt. Now I can append with my existing state, right? So this is the state dot message will be messages. So this will what is actually happening is that this is the state. Let me make it state. What is, so we are modifying a system prompt with our username. Then we are appending the user, the messages that is user is already sent with the invoke method. Okay. So we have the prompt. Now let me add the prompt with this. I can have a prompt. I can mention this is the prompt. Now let me execute this. Right. So now it says, hello John, how can I assist you today? So earlier we don't see any John here, right? Now the application, our agent knows the username is John, then it will be like more personalized chat. So in this way, we will able to pass some kind of a context to any functions in the LangGraph. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Now we can discuss about one more thing, the state. Okay, the state we have discussed it in multiple times, but I have not done any specific or tutorial or video for the state. So that's why I'm adding this also within this studio. So for that, we can add the typing and we can add the annotated. So here from LangGraph .prebuild we can import the injector state. Okay. Now let's define a class. I can define a class that is the custom state, and this can be inherited from the agent state, and I can mention the user ID as a string. Okay. So once we have the data, once we have the class, let me add more code here. Just define a get user info function. Here I can mention the state. This can be annotated, can be a custom state or injector state. This will return the string. Now let's take the user ID. The user ID can be get from the state.user_id. Once the user ID is there, I can return this. I can say that user is John Smith. If user ID, I can say equal to user_123. Else I can mention the unknown user. Now let's create a agent state. Now we can create agent. Here I can specify the model. Here also I'm going to specify GPT-4o. Okay. Now just as a tool, I can pass the get user info Okay, for the tool I need to add one more thing. Just make it one doc string lookup user info. Okay, now we can mention the state schema as custom state. Okay, so we have our agent is ready. Now we can invoke it using agent.invoke. I can pass the messages as look for the user information. I am passing the look for the user information. Here I can pass user underscore ID. This can be user underscore 123. Okay, let's see. Let me execute this. Okay, so here says that the user's name is none, this information provided to me and you mean nothing else. Okay, so this is not working as expected, so just do a debug. Here I can use the messages, look for the user information. Here I can say user ID, which is equal to user underscore 123, and we have a agent. I'm using the GPT-4o. Get user info is the message and state is the custom schema. So let me execute this again. Okay, it says name is not provided. So let me check this, something is wrong. Okay, so let's debug this. So we have our data and this is the custom state, which is user underscore ID, and here we are getting the state user underscore ID state. I am getting the user underscore ID, and here what we are doing, we are actually checking the user ID is equal to user underscore 123. So this is what we are passing, user underscore 123, and I have to return user is John Smith, else I have to mention unknown user. Okay, so I am mentioning the state schema. Here we are giving the model tool info state schema as the custom state. Now let me execute this. Like here I am passing messages, look for the user information and passing the user 123. Executing it again. Okay, it's again says, which means no specific user info available. If you have any specific questions, so okay, because I'm not using the correct agent, I have to use this particular agent. So let me use this particular agent and let me execute it again. Okay, so this time I am getting the correct one, because earlier I was using the previous agent. So I have to use the agent state, that is what we have created here, and I am using the user information. This is John. Okay, so if I am changing it little bit, okay, so it says that I could not find any user information. Okay, so in this way we can actually pass the information to any LangGraph functions. Okay, so the goal of this video is how can we transfer the context in a LangGraph. So in our coming videos we can discuss how can we keep the long-term history and also short-term memory. Okay, so that is all about in this video. Please do like and subscribe. Have a nice day. Bye bye.